The question that we have right now with the assessment period is the period of the year that it is, and it's condensed into one time frame. And also the amount of time away from instruction. So we created and formulated a letter and put it out, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback there, and it's what our beliefs are. And I just wanted maybe some feedback from you folks. I mean, did you want to touch on that at all, or?
I've commented to you about this before. I think these park tests are doing more damage than good to our district. I've had a couple of stories just this week about children that are so stressed out that Nancy told me one that a young child in first grade doesn't want to go on to second, third, or fourth because of the tests. A young fellow in sixth grade math was worried that if he didn't pass the test, would he be able to go to seventh grade? We don't need to stress kids at this level. Now, I realize that the Ohio Department of Education realized their mistake, and per the superintendent of the state of Ohio said that these will not count against our kids, against our district, against our teachers, or anything this year, because I think, as Mr. Mullane was telling me, as he was writing the instructions on how to give the test, he got an email that it was changing. I really would like to see this board accept your position statement about the inordinate amount of testing and how it does not benefit our educational process. I'd like to see us accept this as a board position statement, because I feel it's really important right now for us to come out strongly in favor of education, but against the style in which is being mandated right now. I will be going to the Board Leadership Institute the first weekend in May, and I'd like to be able to take this down. Some of us had had discussions that we are 35th in the state in terms of school districts out of 610, and I would like to find school districts that are very similar to us and talk to them about the possibility of opting out of these exams. I know it's against the law, but I think Governor Kasich will pay attention if we have 100 school districts that feel the same way, especially if he's going to run for higher office. I think he'll pay attention to it. So I think the first step in this is I would strongly recommend that we consider adopting this as a board position statement. I would ask you to read it, but it's very long. Everybody here has read it. For those of you out there that haven't, it's on the website under the superintendent's page.
The one piece, and it's the final paragraph to it, you know, local control was always discussed when next generation, new generation testing was presented. And it was going to be allotted to the districts how and when we assess our kids. That was one of the first pieces that was stripped out. And that's a big concern for us. We're on block scheduling at the high school. That piece alone adds so much more to the conversation than many other districts are affected by. And in the piece, we talked about our strategic planning initiative and our goals of our school system and our core beliefs. Nowhere in our core beliefs does it mention anything about testing and test results. That's important because it's not a board decision, that strategic planning, even though we had representation, administration, even though we had representation, but we had staff, and 51% of the participants out of 36 people were from the community and had no ties to the school. That spoke volumes, those 2 days of strategic planning, because we heard from community what you wanted out of your school. And nowhere out of those 10 beliefs did it say anything about test scores. None. And now, what we're faced with. The one piece that you mentioned, and you're right, the state came back with not holding schools accountable. The one piece that they did leave in, performance index. And if you know what performance index is, it's how our youngsters do at their ability level. So we could have youngsters working at ability level, below average, above average, and they give a point total. They did not remove that piece. So when you take a look at how young districts are doing, yes, they might not opt out, but they'll refusal to take the test. And we have some in our district, many others throughout the state, where parents have refused their youngsters to take these assessments. No, they don't hold that underneath of the staff member right now, but the district is still viewed that way because performance index is still tied to it. So
Can I
they're
quote
talking
you?
out of both sides of their mouth there.
Can I quote you in a conversation we had about the performance index? And if it goes against us, if we get an F, I will be very proud of that F because we have done the right thing.
You made that statement, I did not.
Oh,
I won't be proud of it. I'm proud that we actually have a community that understands and educates themselves on it and understands that we're trying to be as transparent as we are with this. I mean, we're not trying to hide behind anything. Hopefully, people see that.
well,
That's all.
I think our step to let people know that, especially our community, would be to make this a board position statement and publish it as such, so I can take it to Columbus and let them know. It's time we stepped out on this instead of everybody grumbling behind the scenes. Somebody has to take leadership.
I'm fine with you sharing it. I'm fine with you, I put my name on it, so I'm fine with that. I just don't want it to be viewed as though we're anti-assessment altogether. It's the amount, it's the time away from instruction, it's how they use the tests, it's who's creating the tests. There's a lot of questions there. But yeah, that's...
We're not anti, because I believe you already scheduled OAAs and OGTs for next year.
That's correct.
How can we be against testing?
We still got a family to raise.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to that effect, that we accept the position statement that our superintendent wrote and put in the, on the webpage as the board position statement, and that we make future steps with the state, with this document evaluated, and we make those steps accordingly.
You got all that? Okay.
She can summarize in 3 words.
Do we have a second for that?
Second. Excuse me, second.
Discussion.
Weren't you gonna like research something and bring it to us this month?
The
about
research
testing?
piece was, this is the first step in this, the research piece is looking at the districts that are in the top 100 in the state, of which we're 36, which was based on performance index.
That one was.
Yeah. What we talked about, and this is easier said than done, but what we talked about is, first of all, how much state aid do these folks get, similar to us? The other thing is, how do they feel about the park assessments? And there was another criterion that I can't remember at the moment.
Well, I know the one area that I'm still very concerned about is the piece on charter and how that accountability piece is just not there with funding.
That's another issue.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it's all a matter of starting to gather data. I'm hoping that the Ohio School Board Association will have some of this data, or if they don't, they should. And when we talk to them, I think it'll be, perhaps Attorney Britton might have access to some of this data as well. So I'll question him later.
We've offered this to legislators and also for testimony if they would like to read it or offer it at the State House as well.
As far as I know, our 2 legislators are in favor of this approach, our representative and our senator.
If I could, I'd like to throw my 2 cents into this, because you and I have discussed this, and if you truly looked at the days our children are in school, the days this year that were set aside for testing, that if you sit down and look at that, I supported Alex's statement immediately when you put that on there, because my concern was there's so many days of testing, and with the evaluations and everything of how you do, now the staff is also concerned about their scores, where their scores are gonna be. So not only is it an astronomical number of days that we are testing, but are we truly educating our kids, or are we teaching our kids to take tests to hit grade levels, to pass these tests, to perform it? You know, I'm not into the testing. I mean, if you truly look at it, it's scary the number of days that there's tested, and then you think of all the time that is spent preparing these kids to take the test so you can meet state standards. It concerns me that, are they truly getting as much education as they did in the past, because there's so much emphasis on testing now.
And it's the time frame and the amount of tests during that time frame. Personal experience. 8th grade daughter, getting her up in the morning obviously is more difficult than others at times.
It's not gonna get better.
I know. But you look at her in the morning and you say, all right, we're ready to go. What's going on today? Another test. How many is this now? She explains. You're not your peppy self. Taking another test. That just personal experience. I'm not saying that's happening in every home, but it's happening, and it's too bad. It's too bad, because she loves school.
I don't think there are any kids excited about the testing.
I think it's pretty safe to say nobody's excited.
Right, I
Teachers,
think it's
parents.
truly put a lot of stress on our children this year and our staff.
It's not only testing. Now, Lee Fry and I have both been around education a long time, and we've watched the development of this. And it was started out with accountability, and pretty soon the state takes over more and more of the school system and says, you will teach this, and this is how you will teach it, and then you're gonna test it this way. Every school system is different. Every school, every community is different. Every community wants a different kind of school system, yet they wanna have one kind, fits everyone, and that's not good.
And I read that on the state board, there's 15 people on the state board. 14 have no kids in public school. So now, and Casey appointed 9.
Yeah,
There
but
used to
we
be
have-
6.
We have
Now
Bob
there's
Hagan now.
Now there's 15. Now only 1 has been in public school. And they're gonna make decisions for public schools. That to me is truly amazing. And Mr. Bove is right. We have seen so many things come down the pike. And these tests, that just drains kids. They come into your class after a test, not even tested all morning. You have them in the afternoon, and they're totally drained. They just are. And so, you're trying to teach them, and you're trying to do things, but it's, I don't blame them. Yeah, they are. And you just feel bad for those kids that are taking all those tests. And what they do, they add more tests. And now, with this new test, they're saying, well, if you don't pass it, you can't go up to another grade. What kind of stress is that on a kid? All my friends are in 1st grade. Oh, but you may not go to 2nd grade. Hey, enjoy school.
I'd like to ask one other question. How's your relationship going at home? Because my wife, the high school English teacher, isn't saying much when she comes in the door. The dogs get out of her way.
So it's just unbelievable that we have people that are making rules that aren't in public education. For public education.
Not only do they make the rules, then they change the rules. You learn how to play the game, you learn all the rules, you get it all in place, and they change it. Then you gotta learn a new set of rules, you gotta start all over again.
like
It's
fishing.
extremely frustrating.
It's like go fish. I throw the line in, wait a minute, I'm not getting a bite, let's try something different.
Yep.
And something different comes in an email when you're preparing to go fish. Now all of a sudden you have to get a bigger boat or do something different. It just doesn't work. They just change.
This is a very open wound that I started, so I'd like to
Yeah, I'm
call
done.
I'd like to call a question to the motion.
We have a motion and a second, roll call.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Lacy?
Yes.
Mr. Olson?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzer?
Yes.
Mr. Bova?
Yeah, absolutely.